All right, strap in, everyone. Today, we're going deep on Movement Labs.
Movement Labs.
Yeah, a project that's aiming to, well, kind of shake up the blockchain world.
Definitely aiming high.
For sure. And we're going to figure out together if they're worth paying attention to.
Absolutely.
We've got research reports, white papers,
All the good
the
stuff.
whole 9 yards, so we're going to really get into it.
Dive deep.
What's fascinating to me is that they're not just like messing around with small stuff, they're trying to solve some of the biggest problems.
Yeah, the core problems holding blockchain back.
Exactly, like scalability.
For sure. Like when blockchains get clogged up, transactions slow down.
Like a Monday morning commute, right?
Exactly.
But it's more than just that, right?
Way more.
What about security?
Huge. Massive. Remember all those hacks, all those vulnerabilities, especially with Solidity?
Oh yeah, those were scary times.
Movement Labs is using a new programming language called Move.
Okay.
And their big thing is that it's designed from the ground up to be more secure.
So basically less stress when you're doing transactions.
Exactly. Peace of mind.
I like it. But how do they actually pull that off? Is it like some magic code they invented?
It's clever engineering, for sure.
Okay.
They're launching a new virtual machine, basically the environment where the code runs. It's called MoveVM.
MoveVM, catchy.
Get this. They're not just launching one,
Oh.
but two versions. SUI MoveVM and Aptos MoveVM.
Two. Why two?
Think of it like choosing the right engine for a race car. Sometimes you need raw power.
And sometimes you need more control. Right.
Exactly. By offering both SUI and Aptos, they cater to a wider range of developers.
They can pick the right tool for the job.
Precisely.
Smart move, but building all this from scratch seems like a ton of work.
It would be, but that's where their strategy gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
They're not starting completely from scratch. They're integrating with the existing Avalanche network.
So they're piggybacking on an existing system.
In a way, yeah. Think instant access to a huge user base and all of Avalanche's security?
Makes sense. Why reinvent the wheel?
Exactly. And the tech that enables this is called Avalanche Warp Messaging.
Avalanche Warp Messaging. Gotta love a good techie name.
Right.
So it's like they're launching a speedboat on a river that's already flowing instead of starting in a stagnant pond.
That's a great analogy.
But okay, let's get down to it. What can you actually do with all this MoveVM stuff?
Oh, the possibilities are huge.
Like what?
Well, DeFi, decentralized finance, is a big one.
Okay, DeFi.
With MoveVM's security focus, we could see DeFi apps that are way more resistant to hacks.
So less worry about your money disappearing overnight.
Exactly. Peace of mind for your investments.
That alone could be a game changer for getting more people into crypto.
For sure.
What about gaming? Everyone loves games.
Right. And what do gamers want? Faster, more immersive games with less lag.
No lag. Who doesn't want that?
Movement's high transaction throughput could make that a reality.
And all those in-game items and currencies.
This could be managed more smoothly, opening up a whole new world for in-game economies.
So no more lag, and you actually own your in-game stuff. Sign me up.
Exactly.
Speaking of digital stuff, what about NFTs? They're still a big deal, right?
Huge. And Movement Labs is betting big on NFTs.
How so?
They think that Move's asset portability combined with MoveVM security is a recipe for success in the NFT world.
So we're talking digital collectibles, in-game items, all that jazz.
Exactly, but traded with way more security and transparency.
It's not just about creating more NFTs, it's about making the whole ecosystem better.
You got it.
But let's talk business. How are they actually planning to make money?
Well, like most blockchains, they'll generate revenue from transaction fees.
Okay, so a small fee every time someone uses the network.
Just like a credit card processing fee?
Makes sense, keeps the lights on, right.
Exactly.
But they also have their own token, MVMT, right? What's the deal with that?
MVMT is a big part of the ecosystem.
Okay.
It's not just for speculation.
So you can actually use it for things.
For sure. Things like staking to secure the network, paying transaction fees, even accessing those different MoveVMs we talked about.
So it's like a VIP pass to all the cool features.
I like that analogy.
But let's be realistic, there's got to be some serious competition out there.
Oh yeah, tons.
Like who?
We're talking about a space with established players worth billions of dollars.
So not an easy fight.
Definitely not.
And we can't forget about all the regulatory stuff hanging over crypto.
True. That's always a factor.
So lots of challenges.
For sure. But the thing is, Movement Labs seems to get it.
They know what they're getting into.
Exactly. They're not naive.
Okay, so we've got a good overview, but let's dig into those problems they're trying to solve, starting with scalability.
Right. Scalability.
We talked about it being like a traffic jam, but give me the nitty-gritty.
Well, imagine Ethereum trying to handle millions of transactions all at once.
Oh boy.
It gets really slow, fees skyrocket, nobody's happy.
Not a good look.
Definitely not. And that's just one problem.
Right. What about those security vulnerabilities we mentioned?
Well, it all comes down to trust.
Yeah.
Okay? People need to feel confident using these systems.
Absolutely.
And Solidity, while powerful, has shown us that even small mistakes can be exploited.
Like a tiny crack in a dam.
Exactly, can lead to huge problems.
So is Movement Labs basically saying, hey, we're more secure, come use us?
In a way, yeah. They're building on the lessons learned from past mistakes.
And then there's the problem of blockchains being like isolated islands.
Right, unable to talk to each other.
So Movement Labs wants to bridge those islands.
Exactly. They want to enable seamless communication between different blockchains.
Imagine if that actually worked, a true blockchain internet.
It's a bold vision, but that's what they're aiming for.
So they've identified the problems, but what's the solution? We keep hearing about this modular framework.
Right, the modular framework.
But what does that actually mean?
Think of it like building with Legos.
Legos. I like Legos.
Right. But for blockchain,
Okay, I'm intrigued.
instead of starting from scratch every time, developers can use pre-built modules that snap together.
Like building blocks.
Exactly. Need a certain feature? There's a module for that. Want to connect with another blockchain? Module for that too?
So it's a blockchain construction kit.
Exactly, but powerful and secure.
This is starting to sound pretty cool, but let's not forget the blockchain market is supposed to explode in the next few years.
Oh yeah, it's going to be huge.
We're talking almost 90% annual growth. That's a lot of pressure for Movement Labs.
It is. The stakes are high.
And those problems we talked about, scalability, security, they'll only become more important.
For sure, as the market grows, those issues will be magnified.
So Movement Labs is really putting themselves in the hot seat.
They are, but they seem up for the challenge.
Okay, so they've got the vision, the tech, but let's get back to that MoveVM thing.
MoveVM, the heart of the system.
We talked about it being secure, but what makes it so special compared to other virtual machines out there?
Well, one thing that sets it apart is the use of formal verification.
Formal verification. Sounds intense.
It is. It's like having an army of code inspectors examining every line of code for potential vulnerabilities.
So they're catching problems before they even happen.
Exactly. It's a proactive approach to security.
And because MoveVM is built specifically for the Move language, it's super efficient.
It's a perfect match, optimized for performance.
Like a custom-built engine for a race car.
Exactly.
But how does all this fancy tech actually benefit things like DeFi, gaming, and NFTs? Give me some real-world examples.
Sure, let's start with DeFi. Imagine building financial applications on a platform where security is baked in from the ground up.
Not just an afterthought.
Exactly. That's the potential of MoveVM.
So less risk of hacks, more peace of mind for users.
Precisely. And it could lead to more innovative DeFi applications.
Because developers can focus on building cool features instead of worrying about security holes.
Exactly.
Okay, I see the potential there. What about gaming?
Well, think about in-game economies with MoveVM's efficiency and security.
So games where you truly own your digital stuff?
Exactly. Your items, your currency, all managed securely on the blockchain.
That could change the way we think about gaming, for sure.
It could. It's a huge opportunity.
Okay, we've talked about the good stuff, but what about the challenges? We've mentioned competition and regulations, but how is Movement Labs approaching these roadblocks?
Well, their partnership with Avalanche is a big part of their strategy.
Makes sense, leveraging an existing network.
It gives them a huge head start.
It's like they're joining a race that's already started, but they're in a super fast car.
Exactly. And they're not ignoring the regulatory landscape either.
So they're working with the authorities.
They are. They're taking a proactive approach, working with legal experts and regulators.
Smart move. Got to stay on the right side of the law.
Definitely.
Okay, so they've got a plan, but what about opportunities? Where do they see themselves fitting into the big picture of blockchain?
They want to be the platform for developers building the next generation of apps.
Ambitious.
It is. But they believe MoveVM and their partnerships give them a real shot.
So they want to be the foundation, the bedrock of the future of blockchain.
Exactly. That's their vision.
Can they convince developers that Move is the way to go?
That's where their community strategy comes in.
Community is key in the crypto world.
Absolutely. And they're building a strong community of developers, investors, everyone.
It's not just about the tech, it's about the people.
It's about building a movement.
I like it.
Okay.
Okay, let's dive a bit deeper into that Avalanche integration.
Okay, Avalanche.
We talked about Avalanche warp messaging, but break it down for me.
Imagine you have two separate blockchains, each with their own rules.
Okay, two separate worlds.
That's right. Avalanche Warp messaging is like a secure bridge between those worlds.
Enabling them to communicate.
Exactly. They can share information seamlessly.
So it's like building a highway between two isolated cities.
Perfect analogy.
And for Movement Labs, this means instant access to all the users and assets on Avalanche.
It's a game changer for them.
Clever move for sure. But let's talk money. We've mentioned transaction fees.
Right, the bread and butter.
But are there other ways they're planning to generate revenue?
They're exploring a few options.
Like what?
Premium services for developers, maybe enterprise-grade solutions?
So they're thinking long-term.
Definitely.
And what about the MVMT token? We know it's useful within the ecosystem.
It is, very much so.
But for investors, what could drive its value in a long run?
Well, for one, the supply of MVMT tokens is limited.
So classic scarcity principle.
Exactly. As more people join the movement ecosystem, demand for MVMT should go up.
And hopefully the price follows.
That's the idea.
But it's not just about scarcity, it's about utility.
Absolutely. The more useful a token is, the more valuable it tends to be.
And MVMT has a lot of uses within the platform.
Staking, governance, accessing different features, it's all tied to MVMT.
Sounds like they've thought this through.
They have, but we can't ignore the risks.
True, crypto is never a sure thing.
The market is volatile, and there's no guarantee of success.
But they're tackling real problems, and they've got a strong team.
I agree. They're definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Okay, let's circle back to those use cases. We talked DeFi and gaming. What about NFTs? It's a crowded space. How are they planning to stand out?
Their focus is on security and interoperability, two things that are often lacking in other NFT platforms.
So NFTs you can trust, and that can move freely between different systems.
Exactly. That's their goal.
It's about building a better foundation for the whole NFT world.
Exactly.
Okay, so zooming out, what's next for Movement Labs? What's their long-term plan?
Well, they have some ambitious plans, like exploring Layer 2 solutions and roll-ups.
Those are ways to make the blockchain even faster and more efficient.
Got it. They're always looking for ways to improve.
So they're not just launching a product and calling it a day.
Nope, they're in it for the long haul.
This has been a really interesting deep dive into Movement Labs. They're definitely thinking big.
They are. And they have the potential to really shake things up.
But we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll go even deeper into their plans for community building and their vision for the future.
Stay tuned for that.
You know, one thing that's really cool about Movement Labs?
Yeah.
They're not just using Move, they're actually helping to develop it.
So they're shaping the future of the language itself.
Exactly. They see Move as a key part of their vision.
Okay.
So they're putting a lot of effort into making it better.
That makes sense. Investing in the foundation.
Right, like a furniture maker who also cares about sustainable forestry.
I like that analogy. It's about the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And another thing that's cool.
Yeah.
Their open source approach.
Open source, so everything's transparent.
Pretty much. They're all about sharing knowledge.
Which is great, especially in the crypto world where things can be kind of secretive.
You got it. Builds trust.
For sure. Okay, let's unpack this modular framework idea a bit more.
Okay, the modular framework.
It sounds cool, but how does it actually work?
Well, at the heart of it is the MoveVM.
The Move virtual machine.
Right, that's where the Move code actually runs.
Okay, so that's the base.
Yeah, think of it like a set of building blocks.
Building blocks for blockchain.
Exactly. Each block has a specific function.
Like what?
Managing digital assets, implementing consensus mechanisms, connecting to other blockchains.
So there's a block for everything.
Pretty much. And you can mix and match them to create custom solutions.
So developers don't have to start from scratch every time.
Exactly. It makes development way faster and easier.
And because you can combine these modules in different ways, it leads to more innovation, right?
Absolutely. Developers can get really creative.
It's like giving them a high-tech Lego set and saying, go wild.
I like that.
But let's talk money for a second. We talked about the MVMT token.
Yeah, MVMT.
But for investors, what are some of the key things to watch?
Well, one important thing is the total supply of tokens.
Okay, supply and demand, right?
Exactly. The supply of MVMT is capped, which helps to control inflation.
So it's a limited resource.
That's right, and that can make it more attractive to investors.
Makes sense, but what about how the tokens are distributed?
That's important too. It needs to be balanced.
So no one person or group has too much control.
Right. A good distribution allocates tokens to the team, to investors, to the community.
So everyone has a stake in the project.
Exactly. It's about creating a sustainable ecosystem.
But let's be real, There are always risks, right?
Of course, nothing is guaranteed.
We've talked about competition and
Yeah,
regulations,
those are big ones.
but what are some other potential roadblocks they might face?
Well, building a blockchain platform is super complex.
There's a lot that can go wrong.
Exactly. There could be delays, technical issues, things they didn't anticipate.
So even with a great plan, things can still get messy.
They can, but it's about how you handle those challenges.
What about the team itself? Do they have the experience to pull this off?
Oh, yeah. They've got a really strong team.
Okay, that's good to hear.
They've got people with experience in blockchain, tech, all sorts of stuff.
So they've got the talent, but can they actually deliver?
That's the big question, right?
What are some of the things that will determine their success?
Well, one crucial factor is attracting developers.
Developers, the lifeblood of any blockchain project.
Exactly. They need to convince developers to build on movement.
So it's not just about having a great platform, it's about building a community around it.
Got it.
What about their partnership with Avalanche? How important is that?
That's huge for them.
We talked about it being like a shortcut.
Right. It gives them access to a massive user base.
It's a smart move for sure. Let's talk about community engagement. How are they planning to involve the community?
They're doing a lot of things right.
Like what?
They're active on social media. They have forum for feedback. They do regular AMAs.
So they're really listening to what people are saying.
They are. And they're trying to be as transparent as possible.
But talk is cheap, right? How are they actually going to give the community decision-making power?
Well, they're planning to implement a formal governance mechanism.
Okay, governance.
It'll allow MVMT token holders to vote on important proposals.
So people who hold the token have a say in how the platform evolves.
Exactly. It's about giving the community real power.
I like it. Okay, let's zoom out for a minute and talk about the big picture.
The big picture.
We've talked about their tech, their strategy, but what's their ultimate vision? What impact do they want to have on the world?
They believe that blockchain can make the world a better place.
A better place? How so?
They see it as a tool for creating a more equitable and transparent world.
Okay, so more fairness, more openness.
Exactly. They want to use blockchain to solve real-world problems.
What kind of problems?
Things like financial inclusion, making supply chains more transparent, giving people more control over their data.
Those are some big goals.
They are, but they're approaching it with a lot of passion and a deep understanding of the technology.
It's inspiring to see a project that's thinking beyond just the tech itself.
I agree. They're looking at the bigger picture.
But we've only scratched the surface. There's still so much more to their vision.
There is. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore their roadmap for the future and their plans to build a more decentralized world.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we're back, ready to wrap up our Movement Labs deep dive.
The final stretch.
We've talked tech, strategy, the big vision, but what about the road ahead? What's actually next?
Their roadmap's got some exciting stuff.
Okay, like what?
One big thing, the testnet launch.
The testnet, so developers can start playing around.
Exactly. Get some real-world feedback.
It's like a dress rehearsal before the big show.
Perfect analogy.
When's the mainnet launch, the real deal?
They're aiming for later this year.
Okay.
But, with blockchain, things can change.
Flexibility is key.
For sure. They want to get it right, even if it takes a bit longer.
A delay is better than a rushed launch, for sure.
Absolutely.
What else are they working on beyond the mainnet?
Oh, they're always iterating, always improving.
Such as
Better developer tools, security enhancements, even more interoperability.
So they're not resting on their laurels.
Nope, they're constantly pushing forward.
That's what you want to see. But what about the community? How are they going to keep those folks engaged?
They're doing a great job so far.
Yeah.
AMAs, social media, a dedicated forum, they're really listening.
Building a two-way street?
For sure. It's not just broadcasting, it's a conversation.
But how do they plan to give the community actual decision-making power?
Through their governance model.
Right.
Governance MVMT token holders will get voting rights on key decisions.
So the token's not just for trading, it's a voice in the project.
Exactly. The community can shape the future of Movement Labs.
Okay, last big question. The ultimate vision.
The big picture.
Yeah. What role do they see blockchain playing in the world?
They want to use blockchain to make a positive impact.
A positive impact? How?
They're talking financial inclusion, supply chain transparency, all sorts of things.
Making the world a better place.
Exactly. Using technology for good.
It's an ambitious goal, but they seem to really believe in it.
They do, and it's inspiring.
I have to say I'm really impressed with Movement Labs.
Me too. They're doing a lot of things right.
For our listeners who want the quick recap, what are the key takeaways about Movement Labs?
Okay, so they're building a secure, scalable, and interoperable blockchain framework using the Move language.
Using Move.
They're leveraging Avalanche for a strategic advantage.
Smart move.
They're super focused on community engagement,
Community is key.
and they have a big vision for using blockchain to make the world a better place.
Couldn't have said it better myself. If you're looking for a project that's pushing the boundaries, Movement Labs is definitely one to watch.
Absolutely. They're one to keep an eye on.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Movement Labs. We hope you learned something new.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of blockchain.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay curious.